Hello, everyone. Our Parsha records Yosef's instructions to his brothers as he sends them back to Yaakov Avinu in Eretz Canaan in order to forge ahead with plans for a family reunion. Amongst his other instructions to the brothers, Yosef says, Al tirgezu badarech, that you should not have agitation en route or cause agitation. The truth is that while most of the Mefarshim understand these words as those of instruction and guidance, there is at least one approach amongst the Mefarshim that Yosef made this statement in the form of a bracha, blessing his brothers that they will not have the aggravation or agitation as they travel back home. But amongst the Mefarshim who see this as instruction, we have the Rashbam and others who say, Al tiru mipnei listin, you don't have to be afraid of thieves and anyone else, because after all, Yosef was an important dignitary and he held sway. And therefore the brothers should know that they can comfortably be assured that they will have royal protection so that they don't have to worry, because Yosef is at peace with everyone, as everyone was dependent upon him during these years of famine. Another approach amongst the Mefarshim is that Yosef was saying, don't get aggravated with one another. Don't fall into disagreement and argument with one another. Why would they? Because perhaps on reflection of all that had transpired, they would again bring up the guilt that they certainly felt for having so many years before sold Yosef into slavery. And there would be finger pointing and you're more to blame and you could have, should have, would have, and so forth. Yosef instructs them, forget about that. Don't focus on that. Don't let yourselves get into argument and disagreement. And then there's, of course, the famous approach of the Medrash, which we find in Masechet Ta'anit. The Gemara there tells us that Yosef instructs his brothers, Al titasku baderech bidvar halacha. En route, I don't want you to be involved with divrei halacha and learning. The Gemara quickly raises the question, how could Yosef give such an instruction to his brothers? After all, the Gemara itself tells us, Shnei Talmidei Chachamim shemahalchim baderech, when you have two Torah scholars who are traveling together, ve'ein beinehen divrei Torah, and they travel without sharing words of Torah, ru'uyin lisaref, they are worthy of being consumed by fire. Of course they're supposed to be involved in learning. The Gemara quickly responds and points out, no, what it means is li'iyune, to delve deeply and get into the depths of shaklavataya, of arguing to and fro, so that they become so engrossed in the learning that they become oblivious to their travels, and travel in those days was not a safe endeavor. That's what Yosef is warning them about. However, lemigras, to do some learning on more of a simplistic level, to review divrei halacha, etc., that is something that not only is he not warning them against, but as the Gemara puts out, it's something that someone should be engaged in. In fact, it's fascinating that Tosfot in the Gemara on Masechet Tanit, Daf Yud Amud Bet, he brings down a medrash that I don't believe is extant today, I didn't find it, in which Yosef is giving the exact opposite warning of that which we find in the Gemara's rendition. The Medrash says Tosfos, Al tafsiku mitvar halacha, don't cease from being engaged somewhat in learning. So we see that Torah learning is always important, but there's a time when to delve into it more deeply, and a time where one's learning has to be on a more simplistic level. I think of that with all of the military challenges that face Am Yisrael today. Certainly, there is tremendous value in Limud HaTorah. It truly is Magna Umatzla. It protects and defends the Jewish people. However, there's a time when Torah scholars belong in the depths of the Yam Shel Talmud, in the Dalit Kotlei Beit HaMedrash, in the yeshiva, delving quite deeply as much as possible in Torah study. And then there's a time when the situation calls for them to be en route, in travel, in which case they don't cease and desist from Torah study, but it's not the depths of their normal Torah study. It's on a more superficial level. Surely there is a way to combine military service with some form of Torah study, albeit not in the wonderful depths to which we have been accustomed to in the yeshiva. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.